Hey guys, welcome back to TomGirl. This is episode 24. We are here with LA native Jon SooHoo, sports photographer and photographer for your Los Angeles Dodgers. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Here's a song. Takes us to the stadium. Hey guys, welcome back to TomGirl. I'm here with Jon SooHoo. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, Jon.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so those of you who aren't familiar with his work, you are and you just don't know it because his photos are everywhere. I've been photographer for the LA Dodgers since 1988?
1985.
85, nice. Yeah, and other sports as well, and sporting events.
Right. I started shooting for the Dodgers in 1985 while working for Andy Bernstein, who's the NBA photographer. And he brought me along the way, and due to NBA conflicts that he had at the same time with the Dodgers late season games, he had me cover games for him while he went to Europe with the NBA. Oh. And so I was starting to do that then, doing black and white film processing and eventually shooting. And here I am today.
Yeah, years later. So you've been on a long, fun ride with this team, huh?
It's been a long ride.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a very lifelong journey, actually.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's great that looking back as I'm getting ready for you tonight, just chronicling all the pictures and all the years of memories and great moments that you've had, you know, with this franchise. They're just amazing.
Oh, I'm glad you're able to chronicle, but there's still so many more that are in the film mode because it's never been digitized because, well, we just haven't a chance to get around to it. And plus, you know, during those times, we had the LA Raiders playing, we had LA Rams playing, we had Clippers, Lakers, we had everything going on in LA, and you know, we're shooting these things on film. And as far as getting them to a form where it'd be easily accessible, like it is now for digital, it was a little harder for back then, just to just get an image out on an 8x10 print to turn into whether it be in the newspaper or whatever on the program. It's a little different than today where everything is so immediate.
Yeah. So do you still have some of that?
Oh yeah, there's film of, I have color slide of everything, basketball, you know, baseball, football. I'm a USC graduate, so I have football photos back from them, back in you know, mid-'80s and all the way to today. But my digital library didn't really begin until 2002. Okay. So everything from 1980, whatever, when I was in school at USC to 2001-ish are all on film somewhere. So
maybe later when you retire, some more of that stuff will be dug through.
It's funny because nowadays everything is kept, but back in the day, I mean, you just kept what was sharp. I mean, you had to manually focus back in the day. You had to manually expose. You know, there was not like an auto exposure. You were pretty much just manually setting everything yourself, and so there are far less images because not everything's in focus, not everything is in, you know, composed properly. Nowadays, you just keep everything, and you know, eventually you'll hit the delete button if you ever get a chance to go back looking at it. But you know, it's so overwhelming how many images are made per game that are just crap.
Yeah, I bet. All right, well, we pulled a bunch of your shots to show tonight for everybody too. Let's start out though. First, before we dive in, I want to get people to know a little more about you too, just in getting your start and how you got into this profession. So, as a kid, were you always interested in photography?
No, not even close. I had an 8th grade black and white class in middle school, and it was through Mr. Jurgens, I believe his name was. And that was my only exposure to any kind of photography in any way, shape, or form. My dad and my uncle ended up taking photos during family parties, and then I ended up doing that as I got older. But during high school, there wasn't a photography class at where I went to high school, which was LA Marshall. And then when I went to USC, there wasn't really a photo major at USC. There was a photo classes in the fine art department, and there was a photo class in the cinema department, both of which I did not plan on pursuing. I ended up going to the Daily Trojan and being an intern there as a freshman, doing all the grunt work, black and white printing. And along the way, I met a couple photographers, Alvin Chung, and who said, hey, let's just go shoot some games here and there. We'll get a credential through Sports Information Department. And so we started shooting USC women's basketball first. And my goal was eventually to get down and shoot USC football games, because all my life I had been a USC football fan. My mom and dad took me to games. All my youth was going to these games on Saturdays and hanging out with the band as they walked through by the peristyle land. It was it was a very magical time, and we were actually pretty good back then when I was growing up. And so I'd always told my mom and dad, I said, well, how do you get down there? They're so crowded up here in the seats. It'd be nice just to be down there. It was less crowded. And so who knew that, back in 81-ish when I started working for the school paper, that, eventually I'd start doing it all the time. And so I'm there at USC games as much as I am, Dodger games. It's kind of like where my start was.
Do you remember those first moments when you were on the field? Because the whole perspective is different.
Absolutely.
Talk about that?
First step. Well, I've always gone, through Tunnel 11, which is where our seats were. Tunnel 10, Tunnel 11 was whenever UCLA played, we played UCLA or Notre Dame was the big game. They'd move our season seats one seat away, one whole section over, so they could fulfill all the rich people's seats, so they could sit in the nice seats. But I always remember walking through the tunnel and thinking, I want to eventually go down through the big tunnel. That'd be really cool. Until that first game when I actually was able to just walk down onto the sidelines all the way down to the bottom. And then, as I got more and more into it, I was able to actually go down the big tunnel, the big tunnel that all the players walk down. That's the thing that they remember the most, because it is an awesome thing. It was awesome when the Raiders came down. It was awesome when the SC comes down. It's awesome when the Rams come down. It's just such a very, it's spectacular how it's such a cool thing.
Yeah, and how about also those night games where you're on the field with the lights and things as well?
That's gotten better, because back in the day there was like hardly a light bulb there. Now they have these there's all kind of beautiful lights now. Oh, there's only one bathroom down on the field for Raider and SC games. By the Olympic time, there was only one bathroom for men and women to use. So there's a long line of Raiderettes. There's photographers, there were officials. Everybody was waiting in line to get in that bathroom. And it was just sad back in the day. But they brought on the more modern facilities, so now at least they have a men and women especially separate rooms.
Yeah, one would be tough.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it was.
So when did you decide that? That's when you kind of decided you for sure you wanted to make a career out of it, and you were going to just go for it.
I was a gerontology major at USC. I'm not really the most book smart person out there, and I'll be the first to admit it. It was a very big struggle to get through biology and chemistry and all those classes, and so. There's no way I was going to be a doctor, and sorry to my mom and dad that was what they had hoped for, but that wasn't happening in this life. But through gerontology, it was a very common sense dealing with people that just happen to be elderly, and so it just dealt with every aspect of the aging process. And so when I was at school, I was going to eventually think about being being in administration in some way, shape, or form. But as I started shooting more and more for USC, Daily Trojan, USC Athletic Department, Sports Information, and started doing all the sports, I started liking it a lot more. And after I'd shoot an event, mostly like football and basketball, I'd make 8x10 prints and bring them home and show them to my mom. I'd throw them on the table so my dad could check it out, because they're still they were big USC fans, even up to when they passed away. And so I've always wanted to show my stuff that way. And now it has evolved into where you could just shoot them out on an Instagram, and everybody could see what you just shot. And so it's pretty amazing where this has come.
How it's changed, yeah. Well, let's get into the first little round of your photos. This is at the Dodgers. So we have a few. If you just kind of want to, we'll play them up. We'll throw them up there if you just want to.
Yeah, that is Gibson has just hit his home run to beat the A's. I don't know the years. I don't know the dates. This is for very smart, sports trivia people to know. But this is after he hit his home run against the Athletics, and he was hugging Tommy at the end of it, and it was just a crazy moment. Crazy moment, because it was back in the day. It was a roll of 35 exposures. It wasn't 5 million that you have on a card of a 6 gigabyte card or something. It's you have 35 frames, and so right before he came up to bat, I was at image 27, and so I figured I better change roles because something could happen. So lo and behold, he backhands this pitch from Dennis Eckersley over the right field wall, and he comes around, and this was like the last frame. This is number 37.
Wow.
I was able to squeeze out number 37. That was frame 3737. So
how excited were you when you saw that?
Well, remember, you don't see it immediately. You have to go back to the darkroom and check it out after looking at the negative after, and it was like, this was a pretty cool moment. Who would have not thought that this would be the last time we would win for a while? We still haven't really won it,
Right, so close.
This one is Mickey Hatcher coming in. I believe his game. I'm not sure what. It might be game 1. I think he hit a solo home run.
It is. This one is game 1.
Yeah, he hit a solo home run, and it's so cool because if you look at the dugout now, number one, it's further. It's closer to the third baseline. But back in the day, it was way against the wall, and it was open. There's no front barrier to keep players safe.
Yeah, they're right there.
It's wide open, and so when players come out to get a foul ball, catchers come back to get a foul ball, they're coming into the dugout. Now they're climbing over barriers to try to get the ball that way. But it was so cool to have. There's no ads on the walls. There's no advertising anywhere. It's just the players and the fans, and that's why I like it. I kind of like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Here we go.
This was after Justin Turner hit his walk-off. I don't know the games. I don't know I think it may NLCS, DS, whatever.
Yeah, I think I was at this one. I think
one
this
of
was
those two.
NLCS, the last one,
exactly,
right?
Yeah,
I was at that one.
Yeah, and this photo, I have been using a pole cam, which has a fisheye lens on the body, and then I put a monopod under the tripod's mount, and I raise up the camera, so when I run out, my camera's aimed like maybe another 6 feet above where I'm actually standing. So I'm standing over them when they run in, and when JT was in that little clump, I'm kind of aiming. I'm at an angle. I can't see what I'm shooting. I'm just firing away because pretty much everything's going to be in focus. And so what I come up with is what I come up with, and his face was up looking straight at Grandal off of that. It was just it felt really good after I pulled that one off. Yeah.
Are there any other techniques that you use?
That's been my main one. I'll use that at USC for in the locker room. I'll use it for when the coach, all the colors get together and the coach is in the middle talking. It's a phenomenal shot because all you have is a gleam of all the helmets. It's just a beautiful thing, and then you have the coach wearing white. I mean, SC wears all their cardinal color, and then SC helmets are cardinal, and they're shiny, and then they put them all together, and there's the leader. And I've done it with Pete Carroll, with Ed Orgeron, I've done it with Wayne Kippen, Sarkeesian, and I now do it with Clay Helton. So it's just really a wonderful, it's a good thing to carry on.
Yeah, I think at the end of this, when I pulled some of your other photos, that one's in there, so we can bring that back up.
This was the same pole cam, but in a different perspective because I'm literally leaning against that barrier that I was talking about before, and it's a fisheye, and I think that's Natalia Perez, one of our hostesses, waving the flag, and it just adds a different perspective because not a lot of photographers will try this because number one, they don't have the access. Number two, they're not 6 foot tall to begin with. So that's a little benefit that I might have.
Yeah. And I think we had 2 more that I don't know if one of, I guess we had 3 more, sorry. I just thought this was cool with the clouds and such an epic shot.
I'm not sure if that was Dodgers. I think that was I think it was in DC, and the sun was setting, and it was a moment where I could pull out my flash and fill it just enough to accentuate the colors. I mean, if I don't have a flash on it, it's just the silhouette. But with the little, the strobe on top, it was able to fill, and it's one of my favorites for the year.
Oh, that was a great shot of him.
Thank you.
So this was your shot, right, as well, that became the cover of Sports Illustrated?
Yes, it was, and I got blamed for all the SI curse and all that, the stuff that went with it, and it's like, well, you know what, they could have used somebody else's photo of somebody else, but they decided this one, so I'll wear it. It's fine. That's fine. And we did go on a losing streak after that, but I will never be as apologetic for taking this photo because I think it was just a magical moment. And yeah.
And how did that feel for you, having your work being on the cover of Sports Illustrated?
Well, it was the first time ever that I've ever been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I've been trying since I started in some sport. Try to get. The closest thing I think I had was oral at Wrigley Field, and the editors are calling in, and it was filmed back in the day, so I was sending my images in as fast as I could, and it didn't come up. It didn't work. But this is the best way to celebrate is with guys I care about, Justin Turner and Yasiel Puig. I mean, oral's very special to me because we go back to '88, but these guys it's just a different group of guys.
Yeah. Did you have a feeling, since you are so close to the teams all through the years, did you have a really good feeling about, I know they've been this team all year.
It's been a fun team to begin with. It's been the guys are good people. I don't think we've really had a bad group of people since I started. The 2004 squad was one of my favorites, and of course, Dave Roberts was on that team, and so was Adrian Beltre. We had some really good guys on that team, and it was a lot of fun to be around. But this team this year was probably one of the most solid gentlemen I've ever been around. And so that's what I carried from this group. And plus, I know they're all young, and I know their parents. I know their their wives and kids, and or the fiancés. It's just a good group of guys.
And a lot of them are married with families.
Yeah,
and,
it goes all different
Yeah.
kinds of ways because we have all kinds of age groups on this roster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, something I pulled. This is another great shot too of Turner
Thank you.
took there. Yeah. So somebody commented on the photo that you had of Turner at the home plate, and she said it was Misty Pulido. If you're listening, Misty, she said, "I love that I can look at your photos when I miss the game and still feel like I was there."
Well, why are you missing the games, Misty?
Missy. But I mean, what a great compliment to you, because I feel like you do. You capture like the emotion. You capture all these. The feeling, you can just see it in your photos. So that gift you're giving to people.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and know that when I'm out there, I'm doing what I can to give a view of these guys that you're not getting by watching on TV. You're getting a different kind of angle because there isn't a TV camera in my hand. It's a still camera, and I'm not getting the entire moment. I'm getting what moment I'm looking for, I guess. This one happens to be one that worked out, and there are a few that do, and I try different angles and try different locations. But a lot of it is the access the Dodgers give me, and I couldn't do it without that.
Talk to me about how, because you have to have an eye for it, and talk about how your eye has developed over the years, and also like your process during the game, how you go about looking to find those shots.
Well, a lot of the game part is still just the game between the lines, and what I'm trying to do as a team photographer compared to a journalist, AP, LA Times sports photographer, is to give a look behind the scenes that the fans aren't really getting. And so without being intrusive to the players, I'm doing my best to just be a part of the wallpaper and not make a lot of noise, and don't get the guys picking their nose or whatever noises they're making. That's not what I'm trying to do. All I know is that when they're done with the career, I want these guys to be calling me and saying, "Hey, do you remember that picture of I want them to have the appreciation for what I do, because I know they'll be calling for it when their careers are up." And then it goes so fast. The fact that I'm shooting kids of players I've already shot, it just really kind of just makes me feel old. So.
Yeah. No. Nah.
Yeah.
I do have a lot, because besides the stuff on the field, you have the access to take a lot of the candid photos of them. So I think we have some of those here next. Like these types of shots, because you're.
Well, I mean, I do these things very cautiously and very. I'm not looking to exploit the guys. I'm just trying to give a perspective that maybe his mom's gonna want that on her wall someday. That's my mentality when I'm doing this. I'm not looking to embarrass them. I'm not looking to get them in a funny moment. Although sometimes they give me funny moments on purpose, or they give me a couple birds here and there. But it's nothing that's anger filled, and they can trust me that it's not going to be abused. I don't have a motor drive going crazy. It's usually I shoot with my Leica, and it's just a little quiet, very quiet. And sometimes they don't know I'm doing it, and it's just a matter of what I feel comfortable doing without intruding on their privacy. Because these are private moments. You're not going to see. I mean, I've been blessed to have, starting with Tommy, who gave me the most grief out of anybody, because that was just the beginning of my career, and kind of because in the old school days, it was like, get the hell out of here. You have no business being here, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's gotten better, different, and more accepting as even Davey Johnson and, Jim Tracy and all the managers that came since, they've gotten to know me enough that they trust me. And Dave Roberts was a player in 2004, so he knows I'm all about the family of the Dodger players, and there's nothing I'm going to photograph that's not cool.
Right.
And so every moment you're seeing is, getting a little behind the scenes stuff that you're not going to get from a newspaper or a wire photographer.
Yeah. Like I like this one too, where the guy's just walking.
Oh, well, it's so funny, because right to my right is the little urinal of Wrigley Field. That is what the guys use. I mean, it looks larger than it really is. There's probably maybe 5 feet of width between those two walls, because there's no room, and it's such an old facility. But this moment is during the game. I think Kike just hit his second home run or third home run or something to that effect during this game against the Cubs, and it's just a moment that wasn't going to pass up on. And so I'm very happy with that photo.
Yeah. And then keep going to the next one. We'll just walk through these as well, because yeah, like you also do aerial shots.
Well, I get aerials when I'm allowed, and I get in a helicopter or blimp.
Okay.
And this one was courtesy of Larry Welk. He was the owner of the helicopter company, and that's who we rented the time from. And this was over Dodger Stadium at I believe it was a 6 o'clock game, and Stan Kasten, our president, had sent me an email saying, "Hey, we need to get an updated photo of Dodger Stadium with the parking lot full and the new design of the landscape that Janet Marie Smith had done." And so I did a few laps around Dodger Stadium, taking off from the City Bank building on Sunset and like near Alvarado-ish. There's that big tall bank building. That's where I took off out of. They picked me up over there, and they flew me around like 3 times, and it was great at sunset. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
yes. I love that shot.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you even catch the moments like Kershaw here with his daughter.
It's funny how it's just part of the day, and so
Yeah.
this is part of his workout. This is part of, he just came down and he just sat down in Alex Torres' office, who's our clubhouse manager. This is his office, and he has a couch there. So it was a moment, and I could pass it up. And so I wasn't, I wasn't using my big heavy cameras that I use for the games. I was using my behind the scenes camera, and it was just a very solid moment.
So how is your day when you're just is this on the road or here?
It's
with
at Dodger
them?
Stadium.
At Dodger Stadium. What is your day like?
My day is like I'll go down, I'll get to the stadium about 2 o'clock or so, 1 or 2 o'clock. If there hasn't been a game before, I'll get there about 1 or 2-ish. And then I'll head down to the downstairs to the clubhouse about 2:30, 3 o'clock-ish. So I'm there for batting practice. But beforehand, I'm just kind of like hanging around, just like everybody else is there, and getting some in the food room, and just talking to players, talking to staff, and just getting ready for the day. And it's the best part about baseball is those hours before batting practice starts, because it's just calm and quiet. It's just you can just unwind and do whatever you need.
Yeah.
You can just sit in the stands if you want, just do nothing. But most of the time, if something's going on, I'm going to be, if there's something to get, I'm going to probably pull my camera out for it. So.
And you travel with them as well, correct? So
This was on a train from, I can't remember where we're going. It was the end of the year, so it was D.C. to Philly, I think it was. I'm not sure, but it was on a train ride. And it was Kenley and his son Caden, and it was just a magical moment, because it's just something that I know that will be on an album somewhere in their household.
yeah.
If I can make
yeah.
mantles in all the players' houses that I've shot over the 33 years, then I feel like I've done a good job.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think this will be on some part of their household.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and the son is going to love that as he gets older and older.
I hope
always
so.
have that memory. Yeah, for sure. All right. Yeah, we can roll through a few of these. I just think they're nice to show, just all these intimate, quiet moments you were talking about. This one I love, just the guys hanging
this one
out.
it was one of my favorites also, because it was I think it's called U.S. Cellular at White Sox, where the White Sox play. This was during a rain delay, and the guy just went and sat down and they just started to have a little powwow. Not even a powwow, they were just sitting down relaxing, and so I invaded their time and invaded their space and got this shot, and I know they love it.
Yeah. Hugging moment.
Kike is the hugger, and that's Scott Van Slyke.
Melissa and Roberts here.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And then we have Ethier.
No, that's Adrian.
Yep.
I think that's Adrian.
Yeah.
It's just in the tunnel that leads up into the club, into the dugout. So it's just kind of just thinking about life, I guess, and checking out what's going on the screen, I guess. But
This is a cute shot.
this was a pretty GOAT moment, because that was during the Ring of Honor ceremony that the Dodgers had for Vin. They put him on the ring on the club level, and so he came out for it, and he sat down, and Clayton came over, sat down with him. Puig sat down with him. It's just all these little moments that are just,
Yeah.
It was a great year for memories.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Big stuff. And this one, that was his first game. Is that correct?
First game in San Diego. He was just kind of watching the TV before they went out for batting practice. And so it's nice to be able to come up with these just moments you're not going to capture.
Right. You had another fan that said, "I love how natural your photos are. You have a special relationship with these guys."
It only helps because they allow me to. I would never, force my camera on anybody. But if they know what my intentions are, it's not, like I said, it's part of their history, and they'll appreciate it. The more they give me, the more I give them, and so that's how that works. That's go hand in hand.
We have an Elvis shot there. The last one of those shots.
Great.
Yeah.
That's Bellinger in Elvis form.
Do you have? I think we'll get to this one next in the next group. But do you have an all-time favorite photo? I'm sure that's hard to pick.
It has been a hard choice because I have so many, but I was able to come up with one a couple years ago of Clayton and Koufax walking through the hallways at Dodger Stadium to the bullpen that I had set up to get a photo of Clayton and Sandy, because I asked Clayton, I said, Clayton, do you want to get a picture of Sandy? This could be the last year he's going to be in uniform for this Old Timers game. I didn't know it was or not. I was kind of like, I just threw that out there, and then he said, yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. So then I approached Sandy. I said, Sandy, it'd be kind of cool if you're going to be in uniform, can I get a picture of you and Clayton in the left field corner of just the two of you guys? It'd be kind of nice since you're both in uniform. And so he agreed to it also, and then we started walking down the hallway, and I was walking in front of them, and I just kicked myself in the head thinking, turn around, you idiot, and there's a magical moment going on behind you, so I was able to get down and get a wide shot with a blue wall that is along the hallway back in, under the bowels of Dodger Stadium as they're walking towards me, and they're having just a conversation. So it was better, that picture was better than the actual pose one I did out in the bullpen. So it was more magical for me.
I think we have that one. So here we pulled a couple of that you had listed in a show that you did as your memorable shots. So we'll show a couple of those, and I think that one is in here. So this one was at the Oval Office with President Reagan.
Yeah, that was, I don't think there are many that are left within the organization still, other than Tommy, Vinny, Manny Moda, I think, is in that picture. There's not very many. I don't know if our equipment guy Mitch is in that picture or not, but it was crazy. I mean, compared to nowadays, it was very mild back then compared to what it was when I went with Vin last year. This is so much calmer.
So that first one was with the '88 World Championship team, right?
Team, yes.
Yeah, very cool. All right, then.
This is Vin in Vero Beach, Florida, at Dodgertown, the old spring training home of the Dodgers, and it was a really special place, and he was very special there. So it was nice to have last few years with him there at it before we switched over to Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
And this was a crazy night. This was his bobblehead night, and talk about heaven sent. There's a rainbow behind him. It was there for the pretty much all of the duration of his ceremony, and you couldn't have called that on anybody.
No, because you think that you maybe photoshopped at this point. You know what I mean?
I'm not that good at Photoshop, obviously, but if I were, it'd have been a lot worse. But it is real. That's a real rainbow, and it was unbelievable that was there that night. Just so happened to be there that night. Yeah. There's somebody. There's some sort of spiritual involvement involved.
Of course.
And this is the shot of the Koufax shot I was talking about. Koufax Kershaw. That will be on my wall someday if I ever want a place. That's one of my favorites, just because it's a moment of, it's today and yesterday put together.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get into these ones next. These are some. Actually, we'll go ahead and do that. Well, let's go ahead and show that real quick. Then we'll go get into some more technical questions and stuff for you, for those people out there who may want to grow up and do what you're doing right now.
Oh, don't think of it.
So beyond all these amazing photos that you have with the Dodgers, there's some other extremely epic photos that you have in the sports history. So when I first started with Andy back in the 80s, I was doing the Laker games at the Forum and the Clipper games at the Sports Arena, where Showtime was going on at the Forum, and it was incredible. There was hardly anybody on the side end lines other than when playoffs and the finals hit. But during the rest of the time, it's just NBA on the basketball court. Now I can't even get on the floor. I have to shoot overhead from mid-court, which is fine because I don't like sitting on my cross-legged anyway, because it gives you back trouble. It would give me back trouble, but it was, back in the day, everything was a little more wide open, a little more relaxed. You still got security here and there giving you kind of grief once in a while, but once you got to know everybody in all these buildings, it was easy to shoot. And so photographing Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan and Bird and
all these great NBA eras, and now Magic's my boss at the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's just such a perfect circle to go back into, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And even a lot of football ones too. So we had Brett, a great photo of Favre there too. I think they just showed, but yeah, we'll kind of keep just rolling through these, and you can see if you have more than some of the new timers.
This was I shot that on Sunday, just Sunday, and he's a phenomenal player. I mean, he's skinny, and he's got to work on a shot, but man, he is a baller, man. He could drive to the hole, he could pass, and defense. I'm still waiting to see a little more of it, but I think he's perfect for the league.
Montana.
Joe Montana against the Rams at Anaheim Stadium. Who would have thought that would be a possibility, but that's back in the day. And this is the USC-UCLA track meet at Drake Stadium at UCLA. And I actually have a shot that I shot back in the 80s when I used to go with my uncle to these games. And the uniform was a little different. The track used to be pink, and to have this be this jet blue and the colors that came off of this and the action.
Yeah.
I was very happy with this shot when I went up to go do it. I just had this in mind when I went up to position myself in the stands.
Well, in that moment too, you're perfect with all their heads down like that.
And even in the shadows, you look at all different shapes in the shadows.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a trip.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think that was the shot you were talking about,
Yeah,
right?
that was the original pole cam that I used. That was the first time I ever used it, and that was Pete Carroll in the middle. And it's historical just because, you know, Pete was phenomenal. I mean, he's a Trojan. So.
Yeah, that's great. I love this shot.
Thank
Patriots
you.
fan.
This was the Super Bowl, and it was in, where were we? We're in Houston. And my position was overhead, first row balcony, which is perfect because I don't like being on the field for any of this stuff because there are so many people that run in your way, guards stepping in your way. But this photograph is not even during the game. It's they all ran on the field, and I just squeezed my the other people that are in this frame. They were out. They were actually ran out of the frame, and I happened to get this frame of just him in the logo, and his doctor, which was a Dodger doctor, Dr. Neil Elatrash. He's Tom Brady's doctor, and so he showed him this print, and he gave it to him for him.
Yeah.
But he actually liked that enough to want it in his house. So I was like, all right, well that works for me. If he has it from the Super Bowl, you know,
Yeah.
that I just shot. It was that made my Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then one of JT crew.
I think since he's coming back for the halftime show again, this was the halftime show. Can't remember the last time he did it, but I'm sure that's findable on Google. But that was the first Super Bowl show that they did.
That's great.
Not the Janet Jackson one.
not the.
Yeah, so this is the third one for him, right? I think
Yeah.
it's the third one for him.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
It is.
so that's the first one.
Fantastic stuff.
Thank you.
All right, let's get into a few because I know time always goes so fast and there's so many things I want to ask you. So for the people out there who are very interested in photography as well, what kind of gear do you prefer? Start with that question.
Well, for the sporting part itself, I use Nikon for everything. I started with Nikon film back in the day, and then when it came to digital, I bought Nikon Digital, the first generation. Was getting my ass beat pretty good by other Canon shooters at the time because their camera equipment at the time was definitely better, and so I switched over to Canon, and then one of the Nikon persons found me again and said, hey, why don't you try this blah 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 this camera because it looks it could be good for you. So I liked it enough to switch back to Nikon, and I haven't really changed since. And so.
And advice for people on developing their eye, just get out there and shoot. What kind of things would you say?
The funny thing is that not funny, but I try to make whatever event I'm shooting the event. I mean, I shooting my kids' little leagues, or heck, anybody's little league, or anybody's soccer game, or anybody's high school football game. You got to put the passion in it also to know that you don't have to have the longest glass possible. You could have the shorter lens and go on the sideline and shoot the bench. The players are emotional on the bench. The coach is talking to the players. I mean, there's always so many things going on that you don't have to be at the Ram game. You don't have to. If you're really in this to be a photographer, then you're going to do it because you want to make a beautiful photograph, not because you're shooting USC or the Rams or the Dodgers or whatever. If you're coming at it just to shoot the Dodgers because it's fun, you're missing the whole point of why I'm doing it. So.
And you had some mentors in your career. Do you feel mentors are a good way for people to go?
Absolutely. I think well, first off, you follow by example, and Andy Bernstein has always been. I've been idolizing him since I've worked for him, and I still to this day think he's the best photographer that I can think of, because he's always. And he's not just the photographer part; it's the business end of it, which is so much more out of my league, which is why being with the Dodgers is so heaven sent, because it's a full-time employment job. So I don't have to think about all that sales tax stuff and all that kind of crap that comes from running a business in California.
Right.
But as far as mentors go, he's one of the tops. Michael Zagaris, who's the team photographer for the Oakland A's, but is the photographer for the San Francisco 49ers back in the Joe Montana days. And so watching him do his behind-the-scenes stuff with Joe Montana, Roger Craig, Jerry Rice, that was very inspirational in my eyes to show that you don't have to just shoot between the lines. You could be, as a team photographer, you could go behind the line, outside the lines, and get stuff that no one else can get, because no one else can get in there. You're the only one with the access. And so I watched him do that. Herb Sharpman, who is a Sports Illustrated photographer who I met in Florida because he's real good friends with the O'Malley family. So at spring training, I'd be doing work for him at Dodgertown, and I'd be processing his film, and he'd show me how to do this and that at baseball games. But he also taught me, not to take shit from anybody. And so it's just he just taught me how to just be a little more edgy in my, being a number one, I'm Asian, I'm a little passive, the whole, and so I was carrying that with me until he, kind of like showed me that, you don't have to take all this from everybody. You could draw the line at some point and, make a difference for yourself. And so I'm following his delivery. So.
Yeah, which has then also given you the respect of
I
everybody.
I hope it's earned because I'm a good person, not because I'm forcing myself on anybody, because I wouldn't want anybody to do that on me. So certainly I don't want to be thinking like I'm doing it to anybody else. So
yeah, no, I will say when I worked for Dodger Vision, you were like the nicest guy around that
thank
stadium.
You. I wanted to kick your ass for getting in my way when you didn't got my pictures, but it's okay. I was just kidding.
When I had the camera.
Yeah, exactly. But it ain't nothing like it back in the day. Now there's so many people on the field now for pregame. It's not even funny. It's like it's a production. So it really is. It's production.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. How the game has shifted from the whole genre.
It's gotten strange because back in the day we actually have newspapers and magazines were plentiful, and the thought of social media wasn't even an afterthought. And then as time has gone by, you see more newspapers either merging or closing up. You see magazines disappearing. And so all those writers are giving grief to bloggers or social media people. Now they're becoming that. They're becoming their own social media. They're doing their own videos on their own phones of themselves, doing this and that, something they would have never thought about. And for my own business, there's no more film. And instead of having cards that you have to put in your computer to send out, we're plugging our cameras in. They're plugging Ethernet cables into our cameras, and so it goes straight from the camera to an editor who could be in New York or DC or anywhere in the world, and they can have access to our images to edit and distribute.
Yeah, so it's just
It's so instant now. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to be able to, on a Sunday game, shoot 20 rolls of Fujichrome 100, bring it to the lab on La Brea and drop it off and go have dinner with my family, and then come back and pick it up the next day. Now I am the lab. I'll shoot the game, and I'm in that office until, if it's a 7 o'clock game, I'm there till 1, trying to go through my images, because there's no editor,
Yeah.
And then, on the Sunday day games, it would be nice to be able to just go out to dinner and shut it down for a little while, but I have to stay on top of it and be able to get images out so ownership can see them, and our fans can see it. So,
as you said lately, with how the World Series and all, you've been on quite a long ride of work here.
It's never been exhausting. It feels good the next day to be able to just sleep until 10 o'clock would be nice, But to know that this is such a meaningful event, not to miss anything, not to screw anything up, not to be out of focus on things, not to miss Tommy shaking hands with somebody or Magic shaking hands with Kareem. That was one of my favorite photos actually from the series, was Magic and Kareem. As Kareem was done waving the flag, he came off and kind of like punched Magic in the chest, and kind of like, you could tell he was fired up about Game 6.
Yeah.
And hopefully that photograph showed it. But that was like one of my favorites because that just brought back old times. So when I shot them when they were playing, and there are a lot of good thoughts coming out of this, because and we didn't make it all the way this year, but Dave Roberts knows what he's doing, and I have this team is really cool to be around. I'm looking forward to what we can do next year.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And you've had a lot, because they've done well, you've had a lot of locker room celebration moments as well too. Talk about being in the middle of those.
It's been a learning experience because, number one, English champagne ruins camera equipment, so you have to be, I'm very aware of that, and so I plastic my camera. I have one camera that's my on-field for game activity and for, pose stuff after on the field. And then when we come back inside, I have a wrapped-up camera ready to go. So I go into the clubhouse ready to shoot with that camera, but it's protected by. But I mean, there's never enough protection because it always seeps through. The champagne burns and hits your eyes. Goggles don't help, especially when you're trying to aim. So as soon as it hits your eyes, I'm done. I mean, I have to wipe off and regroup. But it's nice to have enough experience doing this when we had like 3 or 4 of them this year. So it was really an experience. It would have been nice to have that last one. But it is what it is, and we've only gotten better over the years. We haven't gotten worse.
Yeah.
So hopefully we maintain that. So.
Yeah, let's hope so. All right, real quick, we'll come back to you. I want to do, each week here we do the TomGirl of the Week. So today I want to go ahead and nominate the TomGirl of the Week. So I think we have, I'm sorry, we'll come back to those photos. Sorry, I threw that one out at you there, Anthony. So this is Shalane Flanagan. So she is the first American woman since 1977 to win the New York City Marathon. She had never won a race that length. She'd actually had to drop out of the Boston Marathon. And she's 36 years old, and she has dreamed about this since she was just a little girl. So just a great example of setting a dream when you're a kid and going for it and never giving up, having setbacks, and letting your heart and determination just make your dreams come true. So she is our TomGirl of the Week this week. All right, so back to you, Jon. We flashed through it real quick. Sorry, Anthony. Can we run back to those photos? 30. Yeah. So just some great photos of you doing what you do in the stadium, and I think we have some people who you've been with. I love that. That's the old Dodger Vision boards up there.
Yeah, that was actually just last year. Oh, that's not old anymore. Now this is current. That was shot by Hans Gutnick of the LA Daily News. No, they remade those boards to be that way.
My bad, Dodger Vision. Dodger Vision will get rid of me. Throwing out the first pitch.
Yeah, that was a real special day because my entire family was there. My mom and dad were, both still alive, and so it was a wonderful. That was my 25th anniversary. It was just a very 25th anniversary with the team, and it was quite a moment for me.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And then finals here.
This is 1985. There's Alan Zanger with UPI, who I shoot now for. Actually, I still shoot for them for all the sports that I shoot: Super Bowls, basketball, and football. But that was when he was allowed to actually sit at half court to shoot from there. I was still on the end line, but I just wanted to get into this picture for one. And it was quite a moment because that was my first finals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are a couple of my favorites. Joe Torres, awesome. Mm-hmm. And that was in the booth when they both came up, and it was or actually when I came up with Sandy, it was really, it was special.
Yeah.
That was when I was a junior in high school. I just got done with wooden camp at Cal Lutheran. They taught me quite a lot that year. Yeah. I learned my elbows, my skills, and I realized that it's a team game, and fundamentally, it wasn't that bad. I still don't think I'm that bad.
Yeah. And you're still playing basketball.
You said
2 nights a week.
Yeah, exactly. If I can go 3, I will. But the employees are so young at Dodger Stadium, it's just hard to keep up with them at 55. So.
Hey, well, you're out there doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing what I can.
That's awesome. All right, so let's talk about to wrap up everything here tonight. Do you have any bucket list events that you want to shoot or shots that you want to get?
I think one of the events I'd like to shoot at some point will be the Indy 500. I've done pretty much every kind of sporting event that I've wanted to do. That is right now probably the bucket list, the thing I would like to do. I do Super Bowls, and I'll do finals, NBA finals once in a while, or if the Lakers are ever in it again. But there's nothing sport-wise that I would really want to do. Any
places or anything
no, right now. No, I think I'm pretty fulfilled. I mean, going to the White House with Vin in the Obama era was phenomenal. That was probably one of the most exciting things I've ever done. The shuttle launch was another phenomenal event. But yeah, it's been a wonderful life.
Yeah, you've been at some pretty epic moments.
Hopefully they'll be remembered in photos, and not because of my
Yeah.
words, but because of my images.
Yeah. So, and we started to talk about this before the show, but coffee table book ever? Will we be able to see anything like that, or?
I have no plans of doing anything like that. If Lon Rosen with the Dodgers is going to put something together, that'd be for him to do, because Dodgers own all the rights to a lot of images I take Dodger wise, and the other stuff I shoot, at some point. Once I'm dead, my kids can figure that out.
Yeah, well, just looking through your stuff, it's just amazing. So fantastic.
It's overwhelming to have to go through it, but once I see what I kind of like, it's pretty rewarding to know that I've done this. But I gotta look ahead and see what else I could do along the way. Hopefully, we get that ring next year.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But you also do, for people who follow you and are interested, you sometimes do shows and some workshops.
Yeah,
is that correct?
I've done a couple talks at one at the Peterson Museum for Sammy's camera. Then I spoke with Mark Langell, who's the Dodger archivist and historian. And I've done all of them with him because he's such a good Dodger person. He knows all the stuff that I don't know about Dodgers. He knows, and he can fill in all the information of what I shot, because I don't remember it.
Well, that's a lot to keep track
It
of.
really is. And,
Years in
he
detail.
could pull out stuff from
Yeah.
the 40s, and I wasn't around for that. I don't remember what I shot last week, let alone what happened back in the 40s that he knows. So.
Yeah.
But I'll do whenever, educational. I've done spoke to USC, Belmont High School, Marshall High School, and all the local ones that are by me.
If people, when you do those, is the best way to follow that with you? You have a website and Twitter, is that correct?
I have a Facebook and I have an Instagram, and they could hit me on messaging me that way. And usually, just depending on the timing, because it really is. Other than right now, which is my off season, November till spring training. Between it, I'm trying to do Lakers, Clippers, Kings, Lakers, Clippers, Rams, and USC. I'm trying to do all that between now until spring training. And so it really needs to fit in nicely, and it has to be worth doing.
Yeah,
So.
sure. Yeah. As we'll tell everybody your Facebook page, just your name, or tell your handles.
It's hard. I know my Instagram is jon.soohoo, SOOHOO. My Facebook is, I'm at 5,000 already. I don't know if I can take any more. And I don't know I can't even send anybody to it. So that's where I'm at with Facebook. And then I don't really know my Twitter, but I'm sure my Twitter's out there. That's how good I am with the social media stuff. I rely on Matt Mesa to carry me the whole way, because he's the Dodger social media person, and he does a really good job, because I don't know what I'm doing with it. So
Yeah, we'll put them up there for you too, and I'm sure I think this
Perfect.
probably was on you tonight when you were talking, so everybody can find you.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you so much. It's been such a joy and just so fun. So I appreciate you taking the time
Thank you for
to
having
take
me.
us through this.
It's been an experience.
Yeah.
Been fun.
Awesome, and we'll look forward to next year
All
and
right,
those World
definitely.
Series pictures from you.
Definitely.
All right, thank you guys so much for following us. I was JJ Jurgens. You can follow me at TomGirl TV, and we'll see you again here next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.